know. As you know, I'm not too hot on Jesus. He's all right. As far as like ancient philosophers go, you could do way worse. I give him a B plus. But you know, we mentioned the racism thing that one episode, and like him coming up with the idea of punishment after your death. I'm not gonna pluck my eye out because I'm lusting after a woman. Not doing that or some shit. So yeah, like, there's some stuff that I was like, okay, it's kind of weird.
So there's definitely some stuff. He's
yes, overall perfect, not that
I'm
bad.
talking about the overall general ethos.
Yeah.
The funny thing. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And just the basic part, just like the love your neighbor. That shit. Cool. Love that.
Yeah.
That's
the other cheek. Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of feel like he's too connected to the murderous God. And so it's kind of like, how good could your morals be? I'm sorry.
Oh, God. Okay. So, man, I write this down before I forget. So what I wanted to mention was about evangelicals. And so they don't worship Yahweh. They don't worship Jesus. They worship first white supremacy. And then they worship American conservatism, like this 1940, like that doesn't style that doesn't exist. They're so far away from Jesus, like it's not even funny. Like because Jesus never had anything nice to say about rich people. Like he shit on rich people all the fucking time. He couldn't stop. And what do? Like they praise the rich people, like with every chance they get. It's like the number one thing Jesus did was talk shit about rich people, and you guys can't stop. Like, oh, we need to cut their taxes and shit. That's that's wild to me. Sophia, what did you say before I just started talking? Do you remember what you said? Fuck, because that was I meant to write it down, but it's just scribbled.
Write it down. It's gone.
That's something, and it's gone.
It was so good. You had just said so. Like,
what did I say?
Jeez. Well, that's all right. God damn it. If I hadn't written these, it looks like Elvira, which I can't, there's no way that's what it is, but I know it's not that.
I remember because I said Jesus is connected to the murderous God.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank God. Thanks so much. I no idea what I scribbled there. But so when the New Testament was formed, because the people who wrote the New Testament, folks, I have bad news for you, did not know they were writing the New Testament. They didn't know. They had no idea that this was going to be compiled into a whole new chapter. They had no clue. So the first person to come up with an idea for a New Testament was a guy named Marcion, around like AD 150 or something. And Marcion said, okay, we need a new New Testament here after the life of Jesus. So he took the book of Luke, the book of Acts, and the epistles of Paul. And he combined them together and said, okay, here is our New Testament. And the first thing we're doing is getting rid of the Old Testament, because holy shit, have you guys read that thing? It is a travesty. It is just like, I saw just 39 books of blood and murder and incest. It's like, no, this is,
and so no reason to. There was so much shit that didn't have to happen that way.
Awful. It's awful. And so Marcion said, okay, here's the deal. The God of the Old Testament was like a demiurge, like this original primordial force God who is dead now. We worship a new God and his kid, and we're going to just start from scratch and go on from there. And then other bishops in the Middle East and Northern Africa and probably Europe, they started saying, hey, we're going to do the same thing. So they compiled their other books. And so the 27 books that we know and love today, that came out a little bit later, but it wasn't canonized officially until, like 150 years later. But I think back on how big Christianity dropped the ball by not going with what Marcion said. And it's like just starting fresh with Jesus, just because it would have solved a lot of problems if they had done something like that. And they're like, no, we're going to keep the Old Testament for no good reason.
The biggest flaws is that God is infallible and unchanging, and yet he clearly changes his character from the two books. Like they are different characters. Like if there's no way you could read this from a non-religious perspective and go, yeah, those two characters are the same person, same writers. You know when a show like gets new writers, you're like, I didn't feel like that was something that Joe would have done. They got new writers. That makes sense. That's how the fucking Bible looks, and it's so obvious. And I don't understand how grown-ass adults don't see that.
It would be like if someone showed you like Iron Man 1 through 3 and they replaced Terrence Howard with Don. She was like, no, it's the same actor. It's the same actor. Every time War Machine's the same guy. All they know.
One's light skin, one's dark skin, but don't pay attention to that.
But so I wanted to do real quick is that we talked about the a lot of these Christians, and I hate saying you're not a real Christian because like it's a no true Scotsman thing, and so it's very annoying people do that. But there are some people who just aren't actually Christians, and they're just putting on a show. You know, they do this in politics a lot. My favorite example of this, I'm about to share the screen here. This is our girl Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she posted this picture. I can't remember if it was Easter or whatever, but it's a picture of her reading a Bible. Because of course, and I want to just look behind her. Oh, can you see it very well? I don't know.
Oh yeah, we can see. Oh, okay. Well,
how many fucking crosses are on that
like
wall?
at least 5.
1, 2, 3, 4. That's a cross. There are 6. There are 6 or 7 crosses behind her on that. Was like there's like I don't doubt Marjorie Taylor Greene has the worst taste imaginable. Even someone like her would not have 7 crosses on top of like one little area. You know, that's just for the picture. Right? That annoys me, like the performative nature of this. And John, you said something that I wrote down. I remember this, but you mentioned that you went to Christmas Mass. Now, I thought Christmas meant Christ Mass. So is it Christ Mass Mass? I don't know. I don't know how the Catholic thing works, but it's just I was just curious about that.
That's a wonderful question, TJ.
I don't know. I'm just curious.
That makes a lot of sense, TJ. That's a very reasonable question to which I do not have an answer.
But John, you stepped away, I think, when we were talking about how conservative Republicans and Christianity in general, conservative Christianity is the greatest threat to survival of humankind. I think it really is. Like when you think that the world is going to end, why would you care about climate change? And at first you deny it because they'll say something like, well, of course, like human beings can't change the climate. God is in control of that. And what does it matter anyway? Like he's going to destroy the world. And when they see what's going on, like in Gaza, like they love it. They love when they see that shit because that just brings us one step closer to Jesus showing up on a horse and shooting swords out of his mouth. Like that's what they think. And they love that shit. So like, I don't know what to do about this. I mean, I'm glad they're dying or they're dying off, and Donald Trump is helping out a lot with that, which is really great, which is really funny. And, but like, what do you?
In court has been really hilarious to see.
Yeah, it's great. But do you agree, John? Like, am I off base there? Because that's how I really see it. And people don't take it seriously enough. I don't think a lot of liberals think that.
Because a lot of liberals, their exposure to Christianity is other liberals like them who like don't actually believe the shit. It doesn't really affect their lives. They don't think too much about it. And so they think the people on the other side are just the same way with a different color on their jersey. And it's not. Like they actually let these things influence their decisions. And the fact that the liberal, like even like the liberal, and God, I fucking hate to say this, the liberal news media treats these religious fundamentalist people in Congress who say shit like that as, and like who say, like Marjorie Taylor Greene has said, we should have a Christian nationalist nation. Like they say this with their mouths, and then the liberal media just goes, "Oh well, no, that's just the other side of the story." And it's like, no, that's religious fundamentalism. That's what the fucking Nazis did. You should describe it that way. And because so many liberals are just like, "Oh well, say la vie." That's just, you know, they're the same as us. They don't actually feel that way. They're just using it for rhetorical purposes. And it's like, that's what they actually think. If you fucking like pull their nails off, they'll tell you that's what they actually think. But that's not real. It's just fake. And the reason that they don't know it's real is because, again, they don't examine this shit too hard. And it's really a shame.
Serafina, your thoughts?
So, honestly, I've seen, to be completely honest, I have to come from a standpoint of like being a Christian at one point and having this idea of like everyone should be a Christian. This should be a Christian nation and everybody should follow it and all of that. It just comes from a place of true ignorance because you are just believing with everything in you. My religion is the only true religion, and everyone on planet Earth should follow my religion and my God and all of this. And it's just like, at the same time, they claim to be so loving. They claim that their God is so loving, so forgiving, and all of this, and they care so much about the issues and stuff. But in the exact same breath, if it wasn't a so-called sin for them to kill themselves in order to get to heaven in time, or get to heaven or whatever, they would do it in a heartbeat. And that's the reason why they don't care about other people's lives, because they're like, well, I mean, God's gonna kill the world anyway, and everybody's gonna die anyway, and so it doesn't matter. And it's really sad because those exact same people will also turn around and say life is precious because God knew you whenever He conceived you in the womb, and so that's why abortion shouldn't be a thing. And so it's like there's this big circle of them contradicting themselves over and over and over again, and they can't see it because I didn't see it when I was a Christian.
True.
I was completely just in it, and I was like, I mean, hey, this is how I feel. I was pro-life. I was a hardcore Christian. I damn near a fucking conservative. Like I was just on it, and like I said, it just comes from a place of ignorance and being in this little bubble of believing that since your religion is the only true religion, that everyone should follow your God and everyone should believe the way that you believe. And it's really, really sad to see people in power have those thoughts.
It is sad. It's also so frustrating too, because I remember in my days of being like a conservative Christian and everything like that, there were a lot of very apparent problems that I kept having to shove away because they didn't like. And you mentioned the not committing suicide thing. That one I thought about a long time because, like, so in Catholicism, John, correct me if I'm wrong here, but like Catholicism doesn't believe in eternal security of the believer. Like you can be a Christian, but if you like commit a mortal sin, you can still go to hell, right? Is that true?
Is that not how all Christian?
Oh no, not for,
no. If you commit sins, you go to hell. If you kill yourself, you're in hell.
No,
if you're a baby, if you're an unbaptized baby, you're in purgatory. If you're a baptized baby, but you like, I know there was a way where babies can end up in hell. I forget exactly what it was, but I remember like reading about it. Just like, fuck, that's.
I thought unbaptized babies went to limbo, and I don't know. I'm not a Catholic. I don't know.
But it's been a while since I've done this research.
So, all right. So for Baptists, we believe in eternal security of the believer. So what we call it, once saved, always saved. So that you convert to Christianity, you say what?
Why not sin?
Well, because if you have the Holy Spirit living inside, you're not going to want to. That's just
But why does the church say you shouldn't? I'm just saying, like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Why? Because it's a sin. You'll go to hell. Like that's what I was told. Like, what do they tell you? Because it's a sin. What happens? Nothing.
So if you sin and you strain your relationship with God, like the prayer, God won't listen to your prayers. You can't take the Lord's Supper. You'll get a smaller mansion in heaven. You'll have fewer crowns to cast at the feet. I know that one always made me. I was like, okay,
smaller infinities. That's fantastic.
That always did make me laugh. I was like, okay, I'm in heaven. What do I give a fuck how big my mansion is? I'm in heaven. And it's like, who cares? And so, the suicide thing, that didn't apply to us, but I did think a lot about abortion because we don't believe that babies go to purgatory or limbo or hell. We always taught that infants died and went to heaven, although it's not in the Bible anywhere.
Yeah, that's what we were taught too. We were taught that it was up to a certain age, like 12, once you're past 12.
Yeah,
which random.
Also not anywhere in the Bible. Neither is an age of consent, I might add. God never not one time did capital G God think, oh, I should put a hard and fast limit on when people can start fucking. And I'm sure that won't be a problem. Like no one's gonna use my church as like a child rape factory. I'm sure that's not gonna happen. And so but abortion, since we taught that aborted babies go to heaven, it's like, okay, the best thing to do is to abort this baby.
They don't have a chance to go to hell. They're automatically going to so it's like, why is this seen as a bad thing?
Yeah, Jesus said that. What did he say? Broad is the way, and wide is the path that leads to destruction, and many there be that go in. And straight is the gate, and narrow is the way that leads to righteousness, and few there be that find it. So Jesus is telling you, most people will go to hell. So the moral thing to do is to abort as many babies as possible. No one could give me a good explanation for this. No one could give me a good answer for that. So yeah, a lot of this shit, and it's like, like for folks like us, where it's like it fell apart a lot later.
Wait,
for me
hold on.
than-
I want to clarify because I was literally taught like in fucking Sunday school that like one of the reasons that you go to hell if you kill yourself is to stop people from just killing themselves, because the logical thing to do would be to kill yourself if you were to go to heaven. So
Hey,
like,
it's a good argument.
I was taught that we had that conversation.
It's a good argument. It's not.
So Baptists believe that if they kill themselves, they go to heaven, but they
Yes.
just stay here for no reason.
Yeah, right. I know. Hey, listen. I get that it's stupid, but you guys thought bread turned into flesh. So let's not get carried away with the absurdity we're talking about.
But we all believe some insane religious things. And looking back on them now, it's like, how in the world did I?
Okay, we gotta wrap it up real quick here. All right, am I off base? Yes. If you want to talk to Christians about climate change, just how we ought to be caring for God's creation. All right, so okay, that's a good point here. So climate change, you're not going to get anywhere with them. You're not. But this is with conservatives in general. You can get pretty far with them by talking about cleanliness. Like they will care about that. Like they don't like litter or like pollution. You can get, and Trump would do this. Fucking Trump. Let's say Trump would. They would ask Trump about climate change, and he always said the same thing. He says, "I am committed to making sure our country has clean air and crystal clear water." And that he always said that line. It's like, that is not the same as preventing climate change, but it makes conservatives feel like, they're being environmentally conscious. So yeah, I don't know. Anything else you guys want to add here? We've been at it for like 2.5 hours. This is incredible, but it's been a great time.
No, that's it. I think that's our show, and next we'll record the wrap. So you're about to hear that now.
Let's do it.
Let's do the wrap, and then we'll finish it off. All right, guys, you've made it to the end of the episode, and it was probably maybe not the most well-buttoned episode, so this is me buttoning it. It's over. We had a very fun time talking today with our guests and went on a lot of different tangents. One of them you might have just listened to in this video. So if you want to hear more from our guests, Serafina, where can people find you?
Yes, so you can find me on TikTok at The Devil's Daughter 162, on Instagram at that same handle, and on YouTube at that same handle.
Thank you very much, Serafina. It was a great time, folks. We had a blast. We appreciate you joining us. Come back next time. All right, good stuff. Serafina, you haven't been around, but that is the tamest outro I've ever done. Usually I try to sneak a joke in there, but I know. I just like today I was like, we kind of like hit the gas up pretty hard today. So
thank you
all right.
To everyone who's been watching live. We're gonna wrap now. To Mark and Lena. And Lena, I hope you loved that, Lena. I really did.
We tried our best. We tried. Good stuff. Oh.